Welcome to Creative Imperfections. I'm Kelly, and I am so glad you're here. Think of this podcast as your safe place to be your beautifully messy self. Let's dive in. There are days when motivation doesn't go up in flames. It just quietly evaporates. You wake up already negotiating with your body. Chronic pain is humming before you even stand up out of bed. Your brain feels foggier than usual. Maybe your mood is heavier, like someone turned the dimmer switch down overnight. And before your feet hit the floor, your nagging roommate is already in the kitchen making commentary. You're falling behind already. This again? How are you going to build anything like this? Other people don't struggle this much. Suck it up, walk off the pain. The thing about the nagging roommate is that on rough days, they sound reasonable. They don't insult you outright. They just narrate your limitations as if they're facts. And they actually sound logical. And when you live with chronic pain or autoimmune issues like I do, or you navigate mental health swings, that voice inside can feel amplified. Because there are legitimate physical constraints. There are real flare days. There are mornings when your body says no before your ambition even has a chance to speak. What makes this complicated as a creative is that our work is deeply tied to our identity. When our output slows down, it feels personal. When we have to scale back, it can feel like regression. The nagging roommate in our heads loves to compare today's capacity to yesterday's highlight reel. You used to have more energy. You used to push through. You used to be sharper. But nostalgia edits out context. It edits out exhaustion. And it most certainly edits out seasons of burnout. There's one thing that took me longer to learn than I'd like to admit, and that is that capacity fluctuates. But commitment doesn't have to. There are high capacity days when ideas flow, pain is manageable, and you feel aligned and strong. Then there are low capacity days when brushing your teeth feels like a measurable achievement. Both are real. Both count. The problem is when we expect identical performance from wildly different internal conditions. On rough days, the goal is not excellence, it's continuity. Continuity means you don't evict yourself from your own dream just because today is uncomfortable. It means you adjust the volume instead of shutting off the music entirely. The nagging roommate hates this approach. They prefer extremes. Either you dominate the day or you've failed. Either you operate at full force or you're falling behind. They have no appreciation for subtle progress, but subtle progress is how longevity is built. When chronic pain flares for me, I've had to learn to ask a different question. Not how do I win today, but how do I move forward gently? Gently has become a powerful word in my vocabulary, not one I've used before with myself, only others. Gently might mean writing one paragraph instead of a chapter, working on one focused project instead of 5 scattered ones, brainstorming from the recliner instead of being in your office or studio because your body needs a different posture today. In my case, it's recording in my home office with my kids outside the door that you might be able to hear right now in the background. It might mean organizing, outlining, thinking strategically, or even resting intentionally so that tomorrow has a fighting chance. Micro movements still count. The brain loves completion, even small completion. When you check off one meaningful task on a hard day, you send yourself a message the nagging roommate cannot override. I am still building. Chronic pain especially has a way of distorting identity. There is a subtle grief that creeps in when your body doesn't cooperate with your ambition. It can feel like betrayal, like you're somehow less capable than you were before. But adaptation is not weakness. Adaptation is intelligence. If your nervous system is overloaded, a 20-minute focus session may be wiser than a 3-hour grind that leaves you depleted for days. If your anxiety is loud, research may be more productive than performance. If your body is flaring, planning might be more strategic than forcing execution. The nagging roommate, of course, will insist that this is laziness. They'll whisper that you're falling behind. They'll try to convince you that the real creatives push through everything. But we know that real creatives are building sustainability. You are not trying to impress today. You are trying to build something that lasts for years, a body of work, a business, a legacy, a life your nervous system can actually survive. And here's what the nagging roommate doesn't understand. Showing up consistently at 40% often outperforms showing up sporadically at 100%. Steady, imperfect effort compounds into layers and becomes an infrastructure. The rough days are not detours, they are part of the terrain. They teach you how to regulate, how to pivot, how to design systems that account for fluctuation instead of pretending it doesn't exist. On the hardest mornings, instead of arguing with your nagging roommate, I've learned to just acknowledge them. Yes, today is harder. Yes, my body hurts so much. Yes, I feel slower. And then I follow it with something grounded, something like, and I can still move forward gently. That one sentence has power because gentle doesn't mean stagnant. Gentle doesn't mean I'm quitting. Gentle means intentional. It means you shrink the task without shrinking the vision. You scale the action without abandoning your mission. So if today is heavy for any reason, if the pain is louder, if your mental health feels fragile, if motivation is just hiding, let the win be small. Let it be one action that keeps you connected to your work. Stay in relationship with that dream. Even if the relationship today looks like a quiet conversation instead of a full production, tiny, repeated action becomes momentum. And momentum, when protected, becomes legacy. And the magic does not live in flawless streaks of high energy. It lives in the brave choice to keep showing up, even when your nagging roommate is standing in the doorway shaking their head. They can comment, but they don't get the keys. You're still building, even on the rough days, especially on the rough days. Thank you for listening to Creative Imperfections. Always remember, there's magic in the mess. If you enjoyed this episode, share it, subscribe, and keep showing up for your beautifully imperfect journey. Until next time.